Good morning. Today I'm happy to introduce someone who has three diplomas. She is a TEDx speaker and the founder of Epic Group. Allow me to introduce to you Ms Angela Hucker. Angela Hucker, how are you today?
Thank you, Yun. It's lovely to be here. I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Do you mind to introduce yourself a bit to other people so they know more about you?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Ange for short, but Angela Hucker.
Mm.
So I live in Tasmania in Australia, which is the very small island off the Big Island at the very bottom of Australia. The
Yes.
next stop after us is Antarctica. So we're probably, if you think like New Zealand, we're probably equivalent to Christchurch in New Zealand from that perspective. So it's
Ew.
quite cool in winter. We get
Yeah.
snow and everything here, but it's not crazy like Canada or, Northern America and stuff. So we don't get feet of snow or anything. So
Oh,
um
just a bit.
yeah, so only a little bit, yeah.
I
But
see.
because we're coastal, so we don't get the huge dumping of snow where I live. So, excuse me. As for me, yeah, I moved here 5.5 years ago from Brisbane. I was actually born in Brisbane,
Mm.
and I moved here. I call myself a climate refugee, so that's to get out of the heat in Brisbane, because Brisbane's
Yeah.
quite hot and humid, and I was born there, and I just kind of had enough of the heat and made the decision to move down where it's cold
Oh my
five
gosh,
and
you
a
hit
half years
threshold.
ago.
You hit threshold.
Yeah. I've gone from one extreme to the other. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
nice. One of the outcomes of this interview is actually to find out more about your story, to share your story with others, and to inspire them about what's possible. So I would love for you to share more about what actually inspired you to start Epic Group and how did your personal experiences shape your vision and your drive to create this organization?
Yeah, good question.
Thank you.
So, my personal experiences shaped EPIC. So, EPIC is an acronym, it stands for Empowering People in Construction.
Hmm.
So, I've worked in the construction industry for about 30 years myself. I started when I was quite young.
Started when you
In
were
my,
five.
yeah, in my family. Yeah, 30 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Um, but started quite young in my family's business. They had a commercial landscaping business. So we would actually landscape when a new school was being built, we would actually go in and landscape. So it was a family business. So everyone in the family was involved. So myself, my sisters, my brothers, like we were all out there working, weekends and school holidays and doing exactly the same work as my brothers. Um, and then it's just interesting over the years how my journey's kind of gone. And, like I did that when I was younger, and then over the years, seeing how my journey has gone, where I've actually kind of stayed in male dominated industries, predominantly construction. And I've been
Wow.
really fortunate with the opportunities I've had. I've been able to work on some pretty major projects globally. So
Yes.
I have worked on, like, some of them just for recognition is Dubai International Airport. I was able to be involved in that project, which was awesome. A Ferrari resort as well in the UAE. So, and quite a few projects in the UAE that I was involved in. With the construction industry itself, I've worked on, they're called mega projects, which are multi-billion dollars worth. So
Oh.
I've worked on quite a few mega projects. One of them was actually filmed by the US TV show Megastructures. So have to find that so I can share that with you as well. But yeah,
All right.
we were there doing our stuff, and here's the drones flying over, and we weren't thinking anything of it. And then it was, oh, okay, it's just the TV show filming. So
Oh.
um but I've been really fortunate with the type of projects I've worked on. So like major big projects. So not building houses or anything like that. So there's been like a lot of big road projects, like big air projects like Dubai International Airport. Those ones that I was working on, the mega structures, that was actually a gas project. So that was multi-billion dollars worth. And, that project went for between, from memory, I think it was about 10 to 12 years all up. When I was there, we were at capacity. So we had about 4,500 people working on site. And I was actually also, I called it a FIFO worker, which is a fly in, fly out worker. So in Australia, we have a lot of them because a lot of our projects are regional and rural and remote. So
Mm.
to be able to get the workforce there, you have to fly them to that location.
Yeah.
So that's what I've done a lot of in my career is worked in remote locations on these big projects. So when you're in those environments, they are pretty harsh. They're pretty intense because you're away from your home, you're away from your network, your support, your family, your friends, everything. And you're in an environment that can be pretty intense, and particularly as a female. So for me, that particular project, I was actually living on the site as well. So we actually had the site with 4,500 people on it. Behind the site, there was, they call it a camp,
Yeah.
which was the accommodation facilities for the people who were the FIFO workers essentially. And there was about 2,000 people living in that camp environment. So with that, there was probably, it was probably 100 females in that environment. It was pretty intense environment, uh, living and working in the same location. We were on an island as well, so we couldn't actually just up and leave because we had to rely on the transport services, with ferries and buses to be able to get back to where we needed to get back to as well. But that was where I actually saw a lot of the really unhealthy and toxic behaviors in the construction industry. I knew it was always there, but that was actually amplified a lot more in that environment. That particular project, people were earning a ridiculous, I mean, a stupid, ridiculous amount of money. I wasn't because I was management, but a lot of the tradespeople were. And so when you're in an environment like that where it's very condensed, the 2,000 people that we had living in that camp, we were living in about a 1 kilometre square footprint with double-story buildings stacked on top of each other. It was very uninviting. It was actually kind of like being in a prison without it actually being a prison. But that's what it was like. The rooms were the grey, the drab, the boring, people
Oh.
on top of each other. You had to all go and eat in the same um, dining hall and get your meals together and stuff. But that's where I saw a lot of the really unhealthy behaviors, and I've always gone, when I get my chance one day to help make a difference in the industry and help make it better, then that's what I'll do. So that opportunity came about 18 months ago, where there were a lot more financial incentives and initiatives to actually get more women into the construction industry. Excuse me. Now, my background is not, I'm not a tradesperson in the industry. My background is actually contracts management. So I actually manage contractors and look after the legal and the financial risk for a project before things actually go down, like a legal route, basically, where there's disputes and stuff. So I handle everything from a project starting, getting contractors on board, managing contractors, managing time, managing costs, and then handling negotiations when there's some discrepancies with contracts. Everything before it actually goes to lawyers is pretty much what I do. So that's been my involvement in the industry. So that was, yeah, being part of management and staff. But the tradespeople were, excuse me, just one moment.
All good. All good.
Sorry, the tradespeople were certainly very cashed up. They had very high income earning on that project. And that's where the industry has got to now. There is such a shortage of workers because of, after the last couple of years with COVID and stuff, a lot of people actually reassess their life, obviously, and have done, some career changes and whatnot. There's a lot of people working in the industry who are, also ready to retire as well. So there's this whole big gap, and the industry itself hasn't actually been promoted as a career choice for a lot of people. So there's a big gap at the moment with what's happening. And this is where now it's like, oh, well, 50% of the population is women. Let's encourage more women to come into this environment. Now, I'm not against that by any means, but I go from someone who has lived it, breathed it, felt it, experienced what those environments are like. I've always gone, we need to actually make it more welcoming for women and more sustainable long term by addressing a lot of the behaviors that are in the industry. So then that way women want to come in and they want to stay. So that's where my focus is. And that's where I founded Epic 18 months ago to be able to do that. And it's basically, I've got two key drivers with what I'm doing. The first one is actually to help transform the culture in the industry, which is a very broad statement because culture is a big thing.
Yeah.
What is culture? It's made up of lots of different things, but essentially that is to help address a lot of I call them the pervasive and systemic issues in the industry. So
Mm.
things that women experience, so the sexual harassment, the bullying, the discrimination, the gender inequity. So there's a lot of those behaviors that women experience in the industry. So that's kind of transforming the culture. And part of that is, it's not a woman's problem. This is everyone's problem, and everyone needs to be part of that journey to be able to do that. And that's executives all the way down to operational field staff, office people, and apprentices. So that's what my focus is, as far as with transforming the culture. Then the second part is actually peer support. So from someone who's been in the industry and knowing how much I've valued my peers, and how much support they have given me over the years, and vice versa, how much I've given them, and seeing what people have dealt with and situations, because we all have a life outside of work. And when we come to work as the whole person, not part of the person. And sometimes the situations or challenges that people are dealing with outside of work impacts them in a work environment as well. So
Yeah.
it's to create that community where they've got that support network with their peers, that whether it's something that they're dealing with at work, if it is like sexual harassment or bullying, for example, or just things that they've got happening outside of work, to create that community where they can talk to their peers, and then they have me there as a coach and a mentor and support person as well. And just making sure that people have got that whole wraparound service with them to so that they're not on their own, because a lot of the times people think that when they're dealing with a situation, they're the only one dealing with it. And it's not the case, because there's a lot of other people dealing with stuff as well. And that's where you can tap into your peers to be able to find out, hey, well, what happened? You had this situation, what did you do? And it just helps create that environment where people are supported. So it's another element to help retain them in the industry as well. So my overall focus for the construction industry, there's a lot of people doing stuff to attract. That's not my focus. My focus is fixing the issues in the industry and
Making
providing
it
that support to
sustainable.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's my where my attention is.
Yes. When you shared about changing the culture, I thought of your TED Talk when you shared about your experience, your really horrifying experience in one of the camps. And then when you called security, they took their own sweet time to come down. And when you went up to the upper management, they were like, "What do you want me to do?" And I was like, "Care for your people."
Exactly.
Then you shared yours. What if your wife at home and someone's gonna break in? Then I think you finally made him understand. And
Yeah,
then
and the thing is
yeah,
that it's sadly it's people who are in, those positions where and I'm not on this is quite a broad statement, obviously, but people who are in those positions aren't actually armed with the necessary skills or frameworks to be able to support
mm,
them to know what they've got to do. So
yeah,
you have to actually, like I did, as I mentioned in my talk, I had to put it into a context to help him understand,
mm,
because if people can't relate, it's hard for them to understand. So that's where it's always um, getting it back to that relatability part where they go, oh, okay, well, if this was happening to me, what would I want to have happen as well? So yeah.
yes. Awesome. I think it's quite beautiful that you actually related it to him instead of being he doesn't understand, stupid guy. You try to help him to understand it. So I think that was really a beautiful move and awesome move by you. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Okay. What made you actually choose to stay in this male-dominated industry for so long, other than, yeah, how did you, for many youth today, I guess, we do not know our calling. Many of people do not know what they want to do. So could you tell us a bit about how you actually, other than your childhood, I guess, what made you choose to stay in this industry and work on the things over here in the construction industry? And also another question is that why do you think that, hmm, why do you think that so many people view the construction industry in like such a way, and possibly how can we change that? Because I guess a lot of people view construction to be like, oh, just manual labor, anyone can do it, they'll get paid very low. In Singapore, we have migrant workers coming in, and I guess not enough people respect them for the work they do, but they build all the stuff, all our roads, all our buildings, our airports, and everything. But people don't give them enough respect and enough, you know, that sense of you're doing great work, just like me. Yes, I would love to know your thoughts.
Yeah, so with I mean, don't get me wrong, I did not wake up and go, I want to work in construction. That
Yes.
definitely was not the case at all.
Mm,
It
mm.
was never on the career journey. You know, my career, I wanted to travel the world and just be paid for it. So
Oh,
it
you
hasn't
kind of were traveling the world with the fly in, fly outs.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Ah,
that's where it ended up being a good mix with construction as well. But
yeah.
no, but you know, the thing is I'm very much a person, I call myself, I'm not a nine to fiver. Like I cannot wake up and go to the same office and do the same work year after year. Like that just does not float my boat. I am very much a variety person. I am
Yes.
not a certainty person.
Oh, I
I am
like
very
that.
much an uncertainty person. Like
I
I
like
like
that.
having that variety and that uncertainty. So I very much have always been a person that has been open to opportunities and
Mm,
always been not necessarily looking for opportunities, but always willing to say yes to try something. So, you know, what actually happened was my partner at the time and I, really quite random, we were living on a boat. We decided that we were going to sail up the coast.
mm,
And the first town that we pulled into, they were building a new resort, but what they were doing first, they had to sell a number of units off the plan to then be able to get the finance for the resort. So I was actually working, helping the sales team in the office with admin support, basically, with while they were selling the units. Once they'd actually sold enough units, they actually then, and they were able to get their finance to start construction, they turned around to me and they said, would you like to come over and start working for us in the construction phase? And I said, sure, why not? And that's kind of how it started. So that's actually how I got back into construction after working in my family business.
mm,
Um, and then I was basically had really great mentors and, you know, people who just took me under their wing and showed me and taught me everything that I know now. And I have just always gone, yes, just said yes. Yes, I'll try that. Yes, I'll try that. Yes, I want to do that. Yes, I want to do that. Yes, I want to be a FIFO worker because then I get to travel and work and see places that I would not go on holidays to.
mm,
And that's basically what I've done. And that's where I look back now, all these years later, and
mm.
reflect and go, it's only by saying yes and recognizing the opportunities when they presented themselves that I've been able to actually work on like really iconic projects that are going to be here, you know, well after I've left this earth. Um, you know, like major projects. And you know, there's something, even though, as I mentioned, I'm not a tradesperson, I haven't physically built it, but I've been involved in everything from the planning to the resourcing to, you know, managing all the costs and seeing everything go from, you know, I've had projects that have been a paddock in someone's farm to then be, you know, like a substation running a wind farm. So to be able to see things go from nothing to something, um,
Yes.
you know, like I actually love apart from all the issues that there are in the industry, I actually love construction and to see things go from a piece of paper and a concept and a design to an actual structure that's in front of you that people actually get to use and enjoy and live in and work in. And, it helps support, everyday life essentially. So to me, I find that actually really quite proud to say I've been involved in that. And quite often, when I've traveled around Australia and some of the places where I've worked, like I always go past the project where I've worked to have a
Mm,
look and go, oh, wow,
wow,
here, here's this stuff that I was involved in 10, 15, 20 years ago, and it's still
that's
here.
crazy. I
Yeah.
helped to build this.
Yeah, like I was involved in this. And that's something that's really proud to be able to say that. Like you got something tangible that you can actually say, hey, I've been involved in this.
Right.
And even when I was flying to Europe 10 years ago and I stopped at Dubai International Airport, and I'd never physically been to Dubai International Airport when I was working on it because I was doing things from Australia for the project. But
Yes.
when I was there, like then I walked through and went, oh, here's all the stuff that I was involved in with this project. And I could walk through and actually see it because I'd seen all the plans, but I'd never actually seen it in person. So to then be able to see it in person was awesome.
Whoa.
So,
Whoa.
that's kind of the good part of construction that I see. And this is where, like I see there's lots of like Australia's probably slightly different to Singapore. We do have a lot of migrant workers here as well, skilled migrants,
Mm.
but we actually work under employment conditions where their pays are quite high. Construction is actually one of the highest paying careers in Australia, to be
Wow.
honest. Yeah.
Cool. In Singapore, it's not the highest paid, I guess. Huh. Interesting. If it's one of the highest paid, then what could lead to many people not moving towards the construction place other than COVID and people reevaluating their life directions? Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is actually, so in Australia, 1 in 10 people work in the industry,
Yes.
and it contributes about 9% to the GDP. So that's a huge amount. So, um,
Yes.
yeah, which is awesome. So it's a big industry. Like in Australia, it is a big industry.
I see.
Because the thing is, it's not just about, like a lot of people think construction is just about people on the tools and, the people who are actually physically building the stuff. There's not there's before you even actually start something, there's probably between 30 to 35 different roles that are needed before you can actually start building. And if you don't have them, the construction doesn't start. And even throughout the construction, there's probably the same again of different support roles that are required. Um, from my research, it's probably a 60-40 split. So 60% are tradespeople, 40% are support functions.
Yeah,
So without that 40%, the 60% can't do what they need to.
I see. S- So what do
So
you think?
it's an industry that's not just about people on tools. There's a whole lot of other roles
Ah,
involved that, generally a lot of people may not be aware of. So
that's what people prevent them from going to the construction. They be like, I don't want to touch tools. I don't want to become a tradesperson. Is it? Is
yeah,
that what they think?
yeah. But you
Ah,
don't have to. That's the thing. Like I've been in it in 30 years and I've never touched a tool. So
mm, I see. Okay. Okay, you have mentioned that you have worked on many, many super huge projects, and I saw that you even worked in Singapore before, but I'm not very sure on what project. I guess what I want to ask you is, what is the one of the proudest projects that you've worked on, or one of the proudest moments? If it was the Dubai airport, then you can share more about that. Oh,
um
when I shared about the Ferrari resort to my brother, this person has worked and built it and built a Ferrari resort. Wait, wow, Ferrari resort, what is that? I've never heard of that before. He was very excited about it.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, well, I was working for a company and we did a lot of stuff. We had an agent in Dubai, so I was doing a lot of stuff in Dubai
Hmm.
and managing a lot of projects in Dubai. And at the same, because I managed their international channel, so that's where I was involved in projects in Singapore. So I was doing a lot of road projects, India, New Zealand, Pakistan. So because I was responsible for the international arm of the company, that's how I was involved in all these international projects as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, but probably my proudest moment. Wow. That's a good question.
Something to celebrate the end of 2024 or after all the good work you have done all these years.
Yeah, I would say probably my proudest moment would be one of the projects I worked on for 12 months, which was up in far north Queensland, about 2 hours south of Cairns. So we had to rebuild power lines after Cyclone Yahtzee had come through. So Cyclone Yahtzee was one of the most devastating cyclones Australia's ever had. That was back in 2011. It hit, and I was working there in 2013 rebuilding the power lines. But just seeing the destruction, because that cyclone had a 500-kilometre footprint, so it did massive destruction
Wow.
to the Queensland coast. But it actually destroyed these power lines, and we had to go in and rebuild them because you obviously need to have power and stuff. But where we were rebuilding them, we were going through rainforest, up over ranges, through areas where it was granite rock. We had to get helicopters involved to pull all the old power lines down and then to put all the new ones in and stuff as well. So, and we just had an awesome, awesome team. So it was just, yeah, we were like a family. And even now, you know, quite a few of those people who were on that project, they're actually like family for me. So that was probably, I'd say that's probably my proudest one, to be involved in something that helped a community after such a devastating impact, and know that I was part of it, and then to be able to form some really beautiful friendships and create like this adopted family, I guess you could say, as a
Ah,
result of it as well was
yes.
awesome.
Oh, what I hear is beautiful that you were able to do something really meaningful. It is not no need to just be a big project like an airport or a resort. It can just be something very meaningful to people, which is rebuilding power lines and also being able to make very meaningful friendships along the way. So it's the things that make you really proud is the things that you find that give things a lot of meaning and also kind of a chosen family kind of a way. Is
Yeah,
that correct to say?
yeah, that's it.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. Something exciting, I guess. Some exciting question next. What what excites you about the future of construction since you're pretty into that in terms of
Um,
yes.
oh gosh, what excites me?
Yeah.
Well, what will excite me is
Yes.
when I see that there's um better equality in the industry for women, because there's not at the moment. So
Hmm.
um there's a lot of people doing work on that. I'm obviously advocating quite hard for that as well. But to have women treated, that they're not a token to meet a tick box criteria that's been set, that women are actually just treated as equals and given the same opportunities, and not because of their gender. And
Yes.
that there's just people are just treated with kindness. So, I mean, that would just really excite me to know that our mental health stats are better, our suicide stats are better, the harassment, the bullying just doesn't exist. Like everyone is just good, decent humans treating each other well. and everyone is going to work and just thriving. Like that is my vision, and that's what kind of excites me. So that's what sort of drives me as well, to be able to play my part to help bring that to life.
Awesome. And if you were to change one major thing, you could just snap your fingers and change one major thing across the industry to make this vision happen, what would it be?
Gosh, if I could change one major thing, it would be to make decision makers um, more receptive to the change that's needed, because there's a lot of resistance at the moment. So
Mm,
if I could just click my fingers and they were all just totally receptive to like, yes, we know we've got to do this
mm,
without the, yeah, the only way I can say is the resistance that I'm currently experiencing. That would be incredible, because that's what's going to help accelerate it even quicker. And, like I very much go, the time it takes for people to make decisions and the process that they go through with their decision making process is ridiculously a stupid amount of time. And if that could happen quicker with more certainty and people start to see the outputs and the rewards as a result of that, that means less people are being harmed in the process, because I actually care about the individuals who are actually dealing with these things in the process, because I go, they're being harmed while people are taking their time to sort things out. So let's actually make that happen quicker.
yes, awesome. Sometimes I wonder why people don't see the issues when they're right in front of their faces. It's quite interesting. Anyway,
Well, the thing is, I'm very much a person, you don't know what you don't know.
yeah,
So it's like, if you don't know what's going on in your company because you're a CEO, you're leading a company with 10,000 employees, whatever. I mean, that's actually negligence on your part, because you have a duty to know that.
yes,
Um, but if you know, if you can step up and actually have that engagement and involvement with your people and understand what's going on, and then see what's needed to actually help affect that change and make it happen quicker, that would just be awesome. I mean, that would be a dream come true.
yes. Just really getting them to be on the ground and see things as they are.
Correct. Yeah, don't sit in your corporate office away from the coal face. Like, people really need to be at the coal face, talk to people, see what's going on, understand it, and make informed decisions that way. Because there's a disconnect at the moment with what's actually happening on construction sites to what's actually happening at a corporate office, because people aren't engaging.
Yes, the engagement isn't there.
Mm.
Disconnect. All right. Somehow, at least I feel this happens at many places also, not just in construction industry.
Oh, look, it's common in anything where there's a disconnect, and it could be manufacturing, it could be mining, it could be, so many places, especially if you've got like a global company, you got your headquarters somewhere and you got offices elsewhere, anywhere where there's that gap, there's always a disconnect unless that up the top is actually making a concerted effort to, you know, get connected and know what's going on at the coalface with the people. It's like there was an example with Toyota, right? So Toyota actually, went around and engaged with all the workers to see what was going on, and the workers actually had the opportunity that if they saw something wrong, they could raise it, and it was done, but it was done in a way that was safe. And this is where a lot of places aren't creating those safe places for people to raise issues, people to get out and actually see what's going on, and
Hmm.
just have that human connection with employees as well, because that's so important. That's
Hmm.
where employees actually feel more engaged. They feel like they're more valued, they're heard, they're appreciated. Um, and it just doesn't happen as much. So
Something which AI can never replace, I guess.
no, that's right. And
Yeah.
we're human beings. Like, it's in the word. We are a human being, you
Yes.
know. So you've got to have that human connection to be a human.
Mm. We are very much social creatures as well.
Exactly. That's
Yes.
right.
We can depend on AI for all kinds of other things to make things faster, efficiency. But when it comes down to the human, we still need people. And I guess some people, if they're in their corporate offices all the way across the world, they are with their family, they are with their friends, the people that they love. They don't see any purpose to like go all the way to a different place unless they really care about the people and want to make things better.
Correct. Yeah, it's so important
Right.
because people need it as well. I mean, the last few years were evidence of that. So,
Yes. All right. Okay, let's move to the last part of the interview, I guess. So thank you for sharing all your story and all your experiences so far. Thank you so much.
you're
And
welcome. My
yeah,
pleasure.
and I guess a question I'd like to ask is, what is one piece of advice or philosophy that you live by that you think everyone should adopt in their life?
Yeah, look, I think, well, I probably touched on it a bit before, but to me, I wouldn't be where I am today without actually being open to opportunities and saying yes. So to
Yes.
me, I think that's really vital for people and their personal growth is actually, just saying yes to things and just trying things because you actually never know if where it will lead you, where it will take you, um, where what you may learn along the way, the people you connect with, and I look back on my my FIFO journey, for example, and that was 8 years of my life that I was doing that type of work. And it was incredibly difficult when I was doing it. But I look back now and go, I actually wouldn't change it for the world because the people I've connected with, like I've literally got friends all around the country. I can pretty much pull up into most places and I've got, like adopted family that I can
Mm.
connect with, stay with. And I would never have done that I would never have that now if I hadn't have said yes back then to, yes, I'll go and work on that project. Yes, I'll go there. Yes, I'll do that. So I think that's my philosophy is always be open to the opportunities and always give it a try because you never know what it will teach you as a person, teach you about yourself and the beautiful friendships and people that'll come into your life as a result of it as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Looking back in my own life, I think being open to opportunities and actually finding them, no matter how busy I may have been, has led to the most growth also. Even though sometimes, because saying yes to too many things, I was totally overwhelmed by all my responsibilities.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah.
they do lead to the most growth and connections and things. Yeah. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
No, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Hmm. I was wondering if there's a story that you can think of about a mentor or someone you've supported who's, oh yeah, is there a story of someone that you have coached or helped whose success has been particularly meaningful to you?
Look, I'm actually going to reverse it and say about the
Oh,
people who've coached and mentored me and helped me because I acknowledge I would not be where I am today without them. And I am very blessed that I have had some incredible people and still do to this day, incredible people on my journey with me. So, I'm everything I've done, I have been, mentored, coached, self-taught with all of it. I don't have a university degree, but
three
here I
diplomas
am.
though, three diplomas. That's crazy.
Three diplomas, yeah, but no university degree. But to me, lived experience speaks volumes with
Yes.
stuff as well. So um, yeah, and the time and knowledge and effort that they have invested in me that I am grateful for because they would sit there in various ways. Like they would sit there, they would show me how to read plans, how to put specifications together, how to put a tender package together, how to evaluate, take me out and explain things to me. Don't get me wrong, I played my part as well because I was curious because I always had that curiosity that it's like, I want to know this, I want to understand that. What does that mean? What is that? How does that work? And I was always asking questions. And then, they were very receptive to my curiosity and helped me with that as well. So I'm very much a person, um, always being curious, always asking questions because I just want to learn and understand how it works because that's actually how I learn. Ask questions, show me, explain it, and I'll get it. And then I can run with it from there. Reading something out of a textbook just does not work for me. So I'm very much a kinesthetic and visual person. So
Yes.
and I've had so many people over the years, because I've been curious, they've then invested the time and, shown me stuff. And, for that, I would not be where I am today without them. So, and even now to this day, like I've got incredible allies around me, predominantly a lot of men because I'm in a male dominated industry where, like I've got a group of us, we're all together. Um, we're from all over Australia. We've got someone from the UK as well who's in our group, and we're all, working together to try and work out a holistic solution that we can provide to help make the industry better. And just, I'm the solo female in the group, which is fairly normal. I'm used to that. But, here I am with some incredible male allies, and, we're talking about solutions that we can provide to help make the industry better. Um, so I've just got incredible people around me and we just, help and support each other and lift each other up. And, we have our moments, of course, but yeah, so that's probably more what I would like to acknowledge is the incredible people I've had on my journey with me.
Awesome. Thank you for, I think it's awesome that you noticed the grace around you about the people who have come in and supported you along the journey. And yeah, it's important for anyone to remember the people who have supported us along the way and given us the things that we need.
Yeah.
Is there,
And I never forget the people who've always been kind and supportive and, just there for me as well, no matter what. And we may not,
mm,
doesn't mean we talk every day. I've got friends in my life who I haven't spoken to for years, and I could pick up the phone and it would be like we only saw each other yesterday. So to me, they're kind of the ones I hold on to because they're the
oh,
special ones.
that's amazing.
Mm.
Wow. I hope to have some people I can just pick up the call and be like, hey, what's up? That'd be so
Yeah, yeah,
awesome. Hmm.
yeah.
Is there anything that people outside the construction industry can do to help serve this mission of yours to empower people, especially the women in the industry now, because that seems to be lacking?
Look, I think, I've got two mottos that I live by and that I am very big on talking about with a lot of my stuff on LinkedIn. So, the first one is just be kind.
Yes.
None of us actually know what someone else is dealing with. And this was something I learnt with being a FIFO worker. Not
Hmm.
only was I dealing with a lot of stuff personally at that time as well,
Hmm.
but seeing what a lot of the other people were dealing with as well, because it wasn't an easy environment. We were working a roster where we were away for 4 weeks at a time and then home for one. So when you're away from your normal life for 4 weeks and you're in a work environment and it's a very intense work environment, there's a lot that people deal with because life still happens outside of work.
Yes.
So, for me, it's always just be kind, always, because you never know what silent battle someone is dealing with. And just because they're at work or in an environment where they may be public facing or whatever, in whatever capacity that is, that doesn't mean that they're not dealing with something. So your words can be the thing that can help lift them up or bring them down. And it's always about lifting people up, is what I say. But
Hmm.
the other thing too is just be a good human. Like, just be a good human. Don't excuse my language, but don't be an asshole. Like, it ties in with be kind, but just be a good human. Like, treat people with respect and dignity and kindness and compassion and empathy. And, if the world was more like that, it would be a nicer place to live in. So,
Mm. Yes, I really resonate with the fact that you never know what someone went through because we can never truly walk a mile in someone else's shoes to live their
correct.
life experiences, to know exactly what they are going through, their mental state, their family state. Never. So always lift people up no matter what and be kind, treat people with respect and dignity.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay, thank you so much for your shares today. Is there anything else you'd like to
You're
share?
welcome. No, I think that's what I'd like to leave as my parting words because they're my things, my driving force that I strongly advocate for. Just be kind always and be a good human.
All right. Thank you so much.
Awesome.